Just going to stand here till they notice me. I don't know how long it'll take. Now it's getting all political in there. Strange. Everybody's waiting for the good old-fashioned, big, bombastic intro with the ladies and gentlemen and all that stuff. And I wasn't sure if I was going to do that. I was actually going to keep this kind of low-key. That way I can just talk to you guys one-to-one. But good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends of the Playhouse, and so on and so forth. It is I, your intrepid host, Yell Chaos. If I look terrible, it's because I am terrible. Oh, you see what I did there? A little tired. If I look a little tired, I think I do. I think I look pretty goddamn awful, but didn't sleep very well. But I had to get on here and I had to talk to my people. And because I've been getting some letters here and there, and so some people are disturbing. They say that they need me in their life, and that, I don't know. I don't think you need any of this, but I'll be glad to oblige. I know I've been away for a little while. I've been very, very busy, and so I want to make sure that I get to everybody's questions and comments and concerns and all that stuff. And if you feel like it, you can find information down below where you can check me out on the Facebook and on Twitter and all that stuff. I try and post on there pretty regularly, but I just wanted to get on here and have a talk with everybody because I know I've been away for a while, so don't think that I've passed away or anything. It's just been a very busy time. God, and I hate to be one of those guys because that's what a lot of people say, and then because you assume they're dead, you know, or something happened, and I know a lot has happened. And there was a few people who were pushing on me. Max Johnson wants to know what I think about the NX. I'll talk about that in a minute. But there were some people that were pushing on me to talk about this and talk about that. And there has been some barn burners of controversy going on, some for legitimate reasons, some for not so legitimate reasons. And I think that's unfair, that they should all be presented in the same light as though they carry the same weight. So we'll talk about all those little bitty things. But I want to talk about, you know, who was really pushing me? My man, the Boston Burf. He was pushing me. I want you guys to go check out Boston Burf if you get a chance. By the way, he didn't pay me for that, which is, your check bounced, Jason. I want you to know that. I'm sorry. I'm being foolish. I'm screwing around. The Boston Burf said to me, you know, I brought to his attention. I said, what do you think about this Coleco Chameleon thing? Because I just noticed that it was blowing up a little while ago, and I decided I wasn't going to say anything because it seemed like this was the topic that everyone was going to cut their YouTube teeth on. Like, this is the video. I'm going to cut a video about the Coleco Chameleon or the Retro VGS because this is going to be what says I am a member of this community. And there were people that were, I'm not going to name names, but people who were like getting welled up with tears over it and shit. And not to say that it wasn't some nefarious shit. It was just interesting to see this reaction. Usually a group of people who I've always thought, I shouldn't say always, but in certain instances have thought that this is a community that definitely taxes the definition of community. A lot of this, sometimes in the video game community, it looks just like a nest of vipers being fed pinky mice. And then, so it's, you know, I don't want to get involved in that. I don't want to be one of those people who says something simply to hurt people's feelings because it will give them or can give them political leverage to make a name for themselves. I think that's kind of low and anti-journalistic. But at the same time, saying nothing helps nobody. So, you know, it's a double-edged sword. But the Coleco Chameleon thing, I didn't want to jump in on it too much. I got a little upset because somebody sent me an email, which you can send me an email too at theyellchaosprogram@gmail.com. Questions, comments, concerns, please go ahead and drop them over there. But someone asked me, why haven't you said anything about this? And I wrote back to this person. I said, because I told you people 2 years ago when I first saw Mike Kennedy helming this retro magazine thing. For those of you that go way back with me, and there's a lot of you that do, that's something I got to say too. I've been away for a while, and it seems like the same crew of people never turn their back on me, and I appreciate that. I really have to say that. With all that goes on in the world, especially on YouTube, you have so many options when it comes to entertainment, and you choose to keep coming here. You keep expecting journalism, and I'm terribly sorry, but that's not what we do here. But I just want to say that to all the people that have stuck around for so long. But I told you guys a few years ago when I first saw this Mike Kennedy guy, I said, this guy is trouble. When I first saw this retro magazine thing and he was tying in with Chris Kohler from Wired Magazine, who I also don't particularly trust, but I knew. I said to a lot of you, I said on the Hate Bit podcast, if I'm not mistaken, I could be mistaken. This is also probably tied into me still being pissed off about Wreck-It Ralph, which I'm happy to say that I've gotten over. I still don't think that it's a great movie, but I've gotten over my hostility and animosity towards Wreck-It Ralph and Walt Disney Animation. But that having been said, I told everybody, this Mike Kennedy, don't trust this guy. This guy is up to no good. And this was right before I started hearing about something called the Retro VGS, somebody passing around a supposed video game console bearing the skin of the accursed Atari Jaguar, because we all know how nostalgic everyone is for the Atari Jaguar. There's one fucking game worth playing on it, and the controller they give you isn't even the right one. So I just wanted to talk about that. I was going to tell a lie. I was going to say that I was not surprised by what I know about Mike Kennedy, and apparently I've also on other podcasts besides this one in the Hate Bit podcast, when I've been guests, apparently I said some things about him, and I always felt like because he would go to the same collectors get together and have meetups and things. If for those of you that aren't collectors, and I see him at those things, and he would always kind of sneer at me, and I wonder if he heard what I said about him, not about him directly, but that the Retro VGS was just a foolish idea. It seemed like a product that was built specifically around the concept of exploiting people who, and let's face it, a lot of people who are collectors in this scene probably suffer from a certain amount of what would be called in certain medical circles obsessive compulsive disorder, and things like that, or Asperger's syndrome, things like that. I won't go as far as say idiot savant or anything like that, but clearly designed with its the whole collectability to exploit those people, and that was just astonishing to me. But what really blew the whole thing open is when I first started hearing about they had a prototype and it was fake at the New York Toy Show. I cut this big fucking promo, and I probably should have put it on here, but Mrs. Yell Chaos and she asked me, what's this all about? And I just started cutting this fucking promo that I wish I had recorded or got a video on. I knew I should have, about, I don't understand this. This guy, Mike Kennedy, who lives in not far from me, actually, in southern Orange County, California, so just a little north of us here. And I thought to myself, this guy is taking this thing to the New York Toy Fair. If you don't know, the New York Toy Fair is the fair. If you have a toy and you want it in a store in any capacity in North America, let alone, a lot of markets in the world, you go to the New York Toy Fair. Now, what I thought was interesting is the way that all the money kept swirling around in this thing. You have to understand something. Because it seems like it's being made to seem that they were just ill-prepared people who didn't really know what they were doing. I want to know where this money was coming from, because to go to the New York Toy Fair is thousands. Anybody who knows, I'm sure there's a few people in here that can tell you about when you go to like the Midwest Gaming Classic or set up shop at what's one of the other ones, or the Portland Retro Gaming Expo, you're going to pay a certain amount of money to set up your table and to sell your, I was going to say hawk, but I don't want to put a negative connotation or twist to it. I don't want it to sound like a pejorative. When you have your table and you sell your wares and you're doing your business, that costs a certain amount of money. And now think about those people that you see. That's usually a dude in a t-shirt and some shorts and some flip-flops, you know, and his girlfriend, and they got lawn chairs, and there's some tables around with Pokemon figurines and, you know, Contra for $35 or something like that, you know, something ridiculous. And they had to pay money to do that. Well, this is the New York Toy Fair, where real people making real toys and trying to make real money, not fucking around with this retro video game stuff, because what people don't realize is the retro video game market is this much of a segment of consumer products that's still not that big in the first place. So that's something you have to understand. But this costs money to go to these things. This costs thousands, and they had matching shirts, and they had this. They had press materials, you know, pieces of paper, photos. What do you call them? Talker cards, and there was banners and all that stuff. And they had, you know, all this Coleco Chameleon stuff. And my question is, who paid for that? And at one point, and also something else that really just bugged, these are, I don't want to say I've come to a conclusion about it. I don't care. It's over and done with. It's just something that burned in my mind. I also noticed that working with Mike closely was an older lady. I shouldn't say older, but like a middle-aged lady. I'd say, you know, younger than my mom, you know, but a middle-aged lady, maybe in her 40s, with a diamond ring on her finger. And I don't want to suggest anything, but I assume that's Mike Kennedy's wife. So his wife's in on it with him. And knowing what I know about the American marriage and the way of life and how so many couples argue about money and the way that their future will be spent, at this whole thing, the spending of the money at the toy fair and just pressing forward on a game console that isn't even really a machine, it's just an idea that I think that Mike believed was going to be his, how can I say, like Las Vegas was for Howard Hughes. You know, this is his thing, you know, and his ecosystem, his magazine that will support his game console, and he's going to be Hiroshi Yamauchi and sit on a pile of money, and he is Lord of the Nerds or something. But this costs money. There's more money being spent, like I said, with the shirts and all that stuff. And at what point, what wife doesn't say, you know, probably says, use the big H, honey, enough? And I know that's probably not very exciting to talk about, you know, when we're trying to talk about all exciting video games and all that stuff. But really, at what point, and there's some married men in this audience right now who know that once you're, like I said, the New York Toy Fair is thousands. Try and get your wife to let you spend thousands of dollars of supposed, you know, your earned combined money. Honey, I'm going to take $10,000 and I'm going to go play with these kids who think I know what I'm talking about. What wife allows that to go on? These are the questions that are burning in my brain, and now they're going to burn in your brain. So I hope they do. I don't really have a foregone conclusion for any of that. These are just the questions that burn in my mind, and I wonder, how did he even get this far? Those are my questions about the Coleco Chameleon. I'm not here to, you know, stomp on the Chameleon and say it was this and it was that. I did hear about Coleco wants their fucking name off of it, which I understand. But that's my question: is how did this make it this far? Honestly, for all we know, that box, we know it was a Coleco Chameleon. For all we know, it was an Atari Jaguar full of used Q-tips. We have no idea what it could have, you know, really done, because there never was an idea. And I wonder, how do you get this far off of an Atari Jaguar skin? That's I guess just the power of dreams in the hands of people who are somehow adept at getting other people's money. So there's that. We're going to go take some questions now, and I'm going to try and be easy, be cool, and answer your questions as best I can. I saw a lot of questions, not to mention all the power metal nerd shit that was going on before I got here. You two know who you are. I'm not going to call you out on it, but you know who you are. And I also saw people want to know, is there another 8-Bit podcast coming? I just talked to Alpha Omega Sin just today, actually, and he said, yeah. So we just got to get a date together. He's a real busy guy, I guess, these days. So, and as am I. So we're trying to, find time to do these things. Also, truthfully, I'm working on a bit of a musical project, so that's kind of what's taking up a lot of my time. And I'm not going to announce it on here right now because every time I tell you guys about a musical project, something goes fishy and we get derailed. So I'm not going to tell you. I'm working on something, and I'm going to keep it a secret. That way, if it sucks, you won't have your feelings hurt. Good stuff. So yeah, I just talked to Alpha Omega Sin, and yes, very soon something. You betcha. Let me see. God, everybody's out here today. Nobody Noel is apparently back from the grave. Good to know, Noel. Appreciate that. Or Noel. I don't know. Anyway, Sigma Sean wants to know if I can get Silent Rob on there. I don't know. I don't know what Silent Rob's doing these days. I haven't really talked to Rob in a couple of years. So I'll try. I'll do everything I can. But if I can't, we're gonna have to get Kid Shoryuken, and people are mean to Kid Shoryuken on there, and I think that's unfair because he's a hard worker. Everyone's got their big fucking hard-ons for Razor Fist and Silent Rob, even though they were never on at the same time. So I can't figure out why that is. I guess it's kind of like the wrestling match that you never got to see. You want to see people be on a podcast together that have never had a chance to work together. And I understand that. I appreciate that. I would like to see it too, but it's a matter of scheduling. It really is. Because the 8-Bit Podcast doesn't draw the same kind of money as other podcasts. Like, I don't know, what's that other one that Alpha does? It's named after a turbo game, the Lords of Thunder. They use a logo from Lords of Thunder or something like that. I haven't heard it yet. I haven't had a chance. I wish I could make time for podcasts in my life. I just have so much going on, and I have to try to play a lot of video games. That's the thing. I mean, I have to try and jam that into my life. I don't have time for other people's podcasts. I really wish I did. I barely have time for my own. But I wish I did. Because I'm a big fan of NPR and things like that. And they got a bunch of stuff on there that I just plain don't have time for. So let me see here. Pelagius wants to know what music have I been listening to lately. You know what I'm actually doing right now? I'm actually I'm a huge fan of iTunes, and not necessarily the store iTunes, but the management program iTunes. And I decided that I always like to screw around with different playlists and move things around because I have a collection of almost 20,000 songs these days. It's pretty massive, and in fact, Mrs. Yell Chaos has to go to great lengths to help preserve that music collection. But right now, I'm actually listening to all my albums alphabetically. So let me see. What was I? I'm glad you asked that, actually, because I was talking to Mrs. Yoke as we were on our way somewhere on Sunday. We go to a Street Pass group. I want to tell you about that, actually. I am a constant attendee of the Street Pass San Diego group that they have down at the San Diego Library. And if you guys don't know about this, if you don't have a 3DS and you don't know about Street Pass, you're fucking missing out. I just wanted to share that with you. And there was a Pokken tournament. Yesterday or last night over at the San Diego Library, and it was a real good time. I wanted to bring that up. We had a real good time street passing and doing that whole thing, and some of these kids, this game is brand new. It just came out. It looks really cool. I'm surprised how engaged I am to watch it. It's just beautiful. The colors are great and all the combos, and it's really neat. I don't know how much I'll ever play it, but I am curious about it. So another fighting game that actually piques my interest, because I can never talk fighting games with anybody because people always talk about Street Fighter and shit and Tekken. I'm a I'm a Soul Calibur guy. So, and no one ever wants to talk about Soul Calibur. They mention Soul Calibur in the same breath as World Heroes. Like, you you like that? And they, well, I don't know if they spit on me, but maybe they did. I don't know. I'm not always paying attention. But goodness gracious. I got weird thinking about people spitting on me. But anyway, we went over that and we went over there and it was a good time. But what was I listening to? Let me do that. Let me rattle off, because what I've been doing lately is because, for my musical project, I have to drive long distance every week. And so I decided I'm going to listen to all my records in alphabetical order, and how they come along, in whatever order they come. And now I want to share them with you. Let me see. I want to rattle these through and tell you what they're like, actually. The first one for this week actually was a group called Acoustic Alchemy. A lot of people call them like a new age or smooth jazz group, but it's guitar music. If you like guitar music, this is the place to go. They're a really great duo, and I forget their names off the top of my head, but really great group. And their album was called Against the Grain. And then after that was Stripers Against the Law. Naturally, right? Right after that, Against the Law, one of the better Striper records, I have to say. Despite the fact that they're fucking Christians, but I can look the other way once in a while. I like Vengeance Rising a little bit too, and Tourniquet. I'll be honest with that. After that was what was this album called? Our Pussy. This was Lividity, The Age of Clitoral Decay. This artwork is actually pretty offensive. They're sort of like Lividity is, I guess, like a porno grind band, that kind of gore grind death metal. It's pretty fucking gross shit, and I don't really care for it's okay. It's all right. There are better bands doing it. I've played in better bands doing it. I can say that honestly. After that, I did Jagpanzer's The Age of Mastery, which pretty hot record, if I do say so myself. I enjoy that one. That's a real good one. Let me see. After that was Propane's The Age of Tyranny. This is an album. It was an album kind of born out of during the Bush administration, so it's very political, very anti-right wing. They really don't like George Bush Jr. So, and the whole album is essentially about that. So it gets kind of tiresome towards the end. After that, I listened to a record that I was struck by. I got this record years ago when I used to work in a nightclub, because I would always do that. All the promotional stuff that would come in, CDs and stuff for bands coming through town, I would always just snake whatever they were throwing away. I just grab it. And this record by a band called The Sword, and it was called Age of Winters, which really good. Really good. It's one of those sort of retro throwback records, and really good stuff. I enjoyed it. If you're into that kind of throwback stuff, or if you like early Sabbath, listen to that one. The Sword, Age of Winters. After that was Christian and Ageless Venomous, and this record is just it's fucking boring. There are better Christian records out there. I was just bored the whole time. After that, I did Foreigner's Agent Provocateur. If you're not familiar with Foreigner, a corporate rock group from the late 70s, early 80s, my dad was a big fan of them. Actually, I forgot that this is actually one of my favorite records. I really enjoy it. Probably because my dad used to spin it all the time. After that, there was Blue Oyster Cult's Agents of Fortune, and that one's, I've heard it so many times that it's still good though. It's still good, and you get more cowbell. After that was Agony's Lament by a group called Soulless. There's a lot of different groups called Soulless, and I forget which one this is, but death metal group Soulless, and again, Agony's Lament. They're fine, typical for this era, which was, I guess, early 2000s kind of death metal. I wouldn't call it brutal death metal, but kind of screamy death metal. After that, I listened to Eric Johnson's Via Musicum. That's the one that has Cliffs of Dover on it. I enjoy it. I don't know. I enjoy Eric Johnson, but I wouldn't say I like this record any more than his other records, but I do like Cliffs of Dover. So everybody likes Cliffs of Dover. And if you don't know what Cliffs of Dover is, you're not a guitar player. And all the guitar players are like losing their mind. Yes, Cliffs of Dover. It's in the bumper promo for every Olympic game since like the 1990s. Then after that, I listened to Slash's Snake Pit and their record, Ain't Life Grand. It's whatever. Then after that, I started to listen to, and I didn't get around to finishing. I'm going to get back to it, actually. Count Basie and his orchestra's album, Ain't Misbehavin', which is actually a collection of just older recordings. I actually got that CD when my buddy Chris, his dad, owned a record store, and he's like, hey, you like big band stuff? I said, yes, I do, and he handed me that CD, so I thought that was special. And then I can't remember what this band was, more of a heavy metal type band called Fatima Hill, and their album Ion, and it's fine. Then I listened to The Faceless and their album Akeldama. And when I first started listening to this record, I'm like, oh man, I forgot how good this record is. And about 3 songs in, I'm like, fuck, don't you guys know any other moves? There's just so many arpeggios, and it's fine. It's a great example as a piece of production, but I get worn out on it. I really do. I remember going to see them when they did the California Metal Fest in Anaheim, and I was standing with, this is when I was in Crepitus, and I was standing with Ryan from Crepitus, and Ryan's just like, didn't they already play this song? Which is a similar feeling you have when you see Dream Theater, or when I saw Opeth, is like, fuck, I thought you already played this song. I'm tired. So, yeah, whatever, it's, they try, they do what they do. And then after that, I listened to Al Green's Greatest Hits, and that's when I was making a joke to Mrs. Yo Chaos. That's what I was alluding to earlier, is that, and I think this is great. I said, I like Al Green. I really do. Al Green does Let's Stay Together and does all those sexy songs from the 70s. All of them. Every single sexy song was Al Green. I really like Al Green, but I realized that almost all his songs are kind of the same. It's all, yeah, baby, gonna be sexy to you. And then the next song, yeah, sexy some more. And it's just like, wow. I mean, it's sexy, but you get worn out on it. I don't know if I got worn on it, but I just know that I didn't really seem to tell where one song began, the next song ended, because it was and all that, and then eventually starts sounding like Aretha Franklin, and then you have problems. But after that, I listened to Internal Bleeding's Alien Breed. Brutal shit. I don't know if the songs are all that much fun, but definitely brutal. And then I listened to Eric Johnson's Alien Love Child, pieces of it. I don't have the whole album, which is a live album. After that, I listened to Steve Vai's Alien Love Secrets, which is still a pretty damn good record. Still pretty good. I happen to really enjoy it. And apparently the artwork is damaged on this record. And then I listened to a group called Skillet and a few of selections from their album Alien Youth. Meh. After that, I listened to Nightingale's Alive Again, which I enjoy. I enjoy Nightingale. Nightingale is a band put together by Dan Swano. Dan Swano from Edge of Sanity and Bloodbath, and I really enjoy his work. I really enjoy Nightingale. It's good progressive stuff, sort of, very, very 70s influenced prog metal. If you want, you get some Nightingale. I recommend some Nightingale. Then I listened to some from a group from the 70s called Alive and Kickin', their self-titled record. And then I listened to Killswitch Engage's Alive or Just Breathing. And that's still a pretty good record. I don't like all of their records, unfortunately. There was a period there where I really enjoyed what they did. But this record actually still kind of stands up in my opinion. And, that's, what are you going to do? And then I listened to Rick Derringer's All-American Boy. And then I listened to some Tupac, All Eyes on Me. Yes. Somebody back there is losing their mind. How could he say that? Why would he listen to such garbage? And then right now I'm actually listening to the Roadrunner United All-Star Sessions, which was, that's the one with the new King Diamond song, In the Fire, that I did with Trivium, if anybody remembers that stuff. And that's what I'm working with right now. So there you are. Whew. And Biffers Bargain, I was talking about The End of Heartache by Killswitch Engage. That was a pretty good one. I remember that was the End of Heartache. God, that just reminds me, that is what, 2004, 2005? My God, there was a bunch of records that I remember from that period. And that's when I was seeing a girl that really liked metalcore. And so it's like, every time I hear that goddamn End of Heartache song, I think of this girl. I was like, oh, God, she was so ridiculous. It's funny looking, now that I, as life goes on, you realize how ridiculous and how serious you took shit. Damn women. Remember I said that. Damn women. Excuse me, I need water. Got to pour myself some water here. Feel free to talk amongst yourselves. It's always nice now that I stand up to do the program now, because I find that I think a little bit better on my feet. At least I hope it seems that way. But anyway, Maluigi Scapelli, who has one of the greatest handles on YouTube. I have to say that honestly, because I can't tell you how many times something shitty happens around here that's unexplained. And you know who me and Mrs. Yelkas we blame Scapelli. Another lost job. We always blame Scapelli. And whenever someone's a dick to anybody at work, who was it? It was Scapelli. There's actually a guy that at Mrs. Yokaya's work, we called him Scapelli, because he was just a fucking cocksucker. And what sounds like cocksucker more than Scapelli? So, and metalcore is a hybridization of American heavy metal and hardcore punk, I guess. Yes and no. Really, around 2004, it was just essentially, have you heard Def Leppard? Have you heard In Flames? Would you like to melt them together and make a lot of money? And a few bands did that for a brief period. Lewis Williams wants to know how life's treating me. I'm very busy, Lewis, but thank you for asking. I've just been doing a lot of stuff, been doing a lot of planning, trying to get the show sorted out and figure out what we're doing on here. Because a lot of people ask me what I'm doing for videos, and I just don't have a lot of ideas in terms of videos. I really got this idea that maybe I should just rip off TV and Lust and just do a weekly video where I bitch, or not necessarily bitch, but just kind of compile things. I don't know. So I'm actually getting ready to go. I am unfamiliar with Integrity and Starkweather before I go on this tear. What was I saying? I'm actually, I've been giving serious consideration to going out on the road, actually. And I don't mean like, not like Road Avenger, like, here I am on the road. Not like that, But I know I've talked about doing some of the video game conventions before, and I'm thinking about branching out, and I'm not sure what to do. And I was actually sitting around putting together a schedule of could I do, X amount of shows over the course, because, the convention season is really, thanks to it's really a year-round thing, but it seems like May through October is when it's really the heaviest. And I thought, could I, really make that happen? And I was trying to plan out if I could make it to, because in June is the Salt Lake Gaming Con, which is, not too far from here. It's like 10 or 12 hour drive from here to Salt Lake City. I thought about that because the Salt Lake Gaming Con is, it's young yet, so it's not too expensive. And it's also, I should probably be able to find a place to stay for fairly affordably. I can't believe what some people pay to stay in fucking Portland. But we'll get to that in a second. Also in June is the California Extreme Arcade Show up in Santa Clara, California, which I may or may not attend. It's really intriguing to me because if you guys don't know, I'm an arcade junkie. And they just have this amazing array of arcade games. So I tried to figure out how to do that. And then in July, we have the GamerCon in San Diego, which is a much smaller thing. They have it at the 10th Avenue Theater in San Diego. It's a much smaller operation, but it goes on during Comic-Con week. I don't pay attention to Comic-Con, even though I do believe that Comic-Con is what is going to eventually disembowel and basically steal all life from E3. It's already doing that. And then in August, somebody brought to my attention, I guess Gamester 81 does his own thing in Arizona, in Mesa or in Phoenix, which is actually not too far. It's only about a 5 or 6 hour drive from here. And I thought about doing that if I have the balls to go to Phoenix, Arizona in August. I don't know how brave I am if I could really make that happen, but we'll try. And then in October would be try and do the Portland Retro Gaming Expo. And that would be a really full schedule, but I do want to see if I could do it one time. And if I do, you guys have to come out and see me if you're in the neighborhood. I don't expect because some people want me to go to MagFest. And it's like, that's way over there. I don't know anybody over there, So anyway, I just wanted to talk about that. I was trying to see what it would be like if I could really make it happen. It's kind of expensive too, because I'm not one of the one of the class A'ers that they let you in and they give you a room to stay in for free. I don't get that. At least not yet. I don't know. I probably have to put in at least another 10, 15 years on YouTube before that starts happening. So. Biogenesis wants to know my thoughts on Street Fighter. Oh, guys, please, I forgot a lot of your questions. If you asked a question and I didn't see it, or if I didn't answer it in the last, half hour, please go ahead and repeat it and take slowly. That way, make sure we get to everybody. Yeah, because I want to get to everybody's questions, and I know I won't get to everybody, but I want to try. My thoughts on Street Fighter V launch and the lack of game content. I heard something about that. And I didn't really read into it, so I can't say too much about it, but I heard it sucked. Bernie or Trump? A few people have been asking me about that. What do I feel like? Who do you think is going to be the president? And I said, well, Bernie Sanders is a bunch of pie in the sky. He's a very idealistic social democrat, and I appreciate that for what it is, but he's promising you stuff that probably could be possible, but never within his presidential term and certainly not within his lifetime. A lot of the stuff that he's espousing is stuff we used to have in this country and we could have again, but there's far too many business interests that could get heads hurt if that ever happened. In this country, we used to have free college, and then Reagan came. It was never the same again. And Donald Trump, I don't really believe Donald Trump is really running for president. I get this. Donald Trump running for president strikes me as kind of like, I appreciate that he's not really spent any money on it. That's interesting. But like when Ross Perot ran for president, Ross Perot spent all kinds of money. And I got the idea that Ross Perot would eventually just get bored of being president. And I get that same idea from Trump. I don't get the idea he really wants to be president. I think he wants people to look at him as a presidential candidate. It seems it's a much more fun job to be a presidential candidate than to actually be the president of the United States. It's a very thankless, poor paying job. And don't get me wrong, you can do whatever the fuck you want for the most part. And many have. Don't forget that. So I don't know what to think about that. And Hillary Clinton, I think, just has too many skeletons in the closet. So, but the problem is the American voters are still, even though it's interesting because people wonder why they don't get change when you realize your political system is exactly the same as it was when fucking Teddy Roosevelt ran for president. It's exactly the same. Rich people spending lots of money to make you believe they're not rich. And then once they get into office, they want to convince you they're rich all over again. And they do it very quickly. Take your money, they take your time, they take your energy, and what do they give you? Nothing. And what are you left with? A fucking bumper sticker that melts to your glass and you got to get gasoline to take it off. And it's actually very symbolic of the American political process. It's just a series of fucking bumper stickers. People getting into fights, yelling at each other and having arguments when it's just a fucking bumper sticker. We have real world problems. And people would rather argue over their fucking bumper stickers. I'm sorry, I got real heavy just then. I didn't mean to. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting. But I really think that, well, and Donald Trump, I wish I could have that life. Just go around and stay in hotels for free and talk shit to my enemies and have people cheer for me. Because that's essentially what it is. He's going on a hotel tour and a speaking tour. I'm going to do that one of these times. I don't know if anybody will show up, but I'm going to give it a shot. Foamy fan wants to know my thoughts on the Nintendo NX rumors. I don't really want to deal in those rumors. It's kind of all over the map. I don't know what to think. I'm still very pleased with my 3DS and my Wii U. So when they get here, they get here. I really get the idea. They're just people just jerking themselves off looking at the schematics for this stuff and all the patent applications. And I saw the thing that looked like it was made out of it was like an ellipsis made of cheese. I saw that and what the fuck ever, I don't want to speculate because I like to be surprised, and you should too. Nick Canfield wants to know if I ever drank Miller High Life. Yes, I have. The champagne of beers. If champagne was made out of pee-pee. Am I looking forward to the upcoming Kirby game? Yes, I am, but not nearly as much as Mrs. Yell Chaos. Pelagius wants to know what I think of Testament. I enjoy Testament. Some records are better than others, but I enjoy Testament. Do I enjoy 90s metalcore? I don't know what 90s metalcore is, unless you're talking about like Zayo and Living Sacrifice and No Innocent Victim. Then, yeah, I kind of dig those bands a little bit. Retro Unlim wants me to speculate on Kurt Cobain. Come on, it was 20 some odd years ago. If it was yes, does it matter? I mean, well, Courtney Love murdered Kurt Cobain. It's like, well, she murdered grunge, just shortly thereafter. You notice that, as soon as it was her time to shine, everyone said, yeah, I'm going to go listen to this Vanilla Ice motherfucker. Or actually, I think that's when boy bands kind of came on strong. Look at that, man. So I guess if nothing else, that would help you demonize Courtney Love is how dare you help them bring back the boy bands. We thought Menudo was bad enough, and now we got, I forget who was around at that time, 98 Degrees. Let me see here. What do I think of System of a Down? I think that I've paid twice to see them, and I've never got to see them. They're all right. They're fine. I like their first couple of records, and they're fine. Whenever I hear something new from them, it doesn't sound all that different from what they did, nigh on to 20 years ago. Not that that's a bad thing. I'm just saying. Tristan wants to know what I think of the Ramones. I think Johnny Ramone's a piece of shit. I think Marky Ramone comes off as a real sweet person from time to time. I think Joey Ramone was a real humanitarian. He seemed like I never got a chance to meet him. He died, some years ago. I was shocked to find out how old he really was. But he seemed like a real good dude. He seemed like a guy who just wanted to do good in the world. And there are so few of those people, So that was my impression. As far as the group, they're fine. They were kind of like, how do I say this without sounding negative? I would say that, most of their records sounded kind of similar in the way that a lot of Motorhead records sound similar. But either way, put on one of them, you'll do fine. So that's what I think about the Ramones. You got a Ramones record, put it on, you'll be fine. You'll be all right. Maybe a beer and a donut, you'll have yourself a good time. What do I think of Avenged Sevenfold? I've talked about this on the program before. I've met those dudes. I've been to Nick Sanders' house, and he loves Mortal Kombat. Whatever you think about that band, understand this kid loves Mortal Kombat. He has all 4 Mortal Kombat machines with the accompanying promotional posters in his garage in pristine condition. I don't think he actually plays them, but just has this just amazing Mortal Kombat collection in his house. And a really cheap beer dispenser. I know that because I'm the guy that used to maintain the beer dispenser for him. And as far as their band, I think their band's fucking boring shit. And I don't have any idea how anyone throws as much money, because I don't see them. They're really drawing money. They're not selling millions of records, so I don't understand what all the hoopla is. I really don't. Pelly just wants to know what were some of my favorite thrash bands? My 2 favorite thrash bands right now. 3 bands actually that are really that I've been listening to a lot here and there. Are a band from Germany called Abandoned, who are really great. A band from Brazil called Nervosa, who are all girl band who I was sick and I didn't get to see when they were in town. I feel really bad, but I was really sick. And another band called Dust Bolt. Those are the bands that I'm really in love with in the thrash region. And then there's, of course, Kreator. It's hard to go wrong with Kreator, and Kreator with a K. And shit, I could go on and on about thrash. In fact, I think the next 8-Bit podcast, me and Alpha Omega Sin and whoever, we'll just go off about fucking thrash metal, and we'll just jerk ourselves off. And you guys will love it. I know you will. You'll thumbs down it, and that's okay, because thumbs down is what YouTube's about, right, babe? That's right. What are my thoughts on the band Ghost? I think Ghost, I don't think they're really a band. I think they're more of a performance art group than anything else, much like Lordi, or not Lordi, excuse me. I think they're more of like a performance art group than anything else. They're whatever, I don't really care for any of their songs. They have a cool sound, but I don't really like to listen to their songs, if that makes sense. Then they got a good look going. How did I feel when Anita Sarkeesian and Zoe Quinn went to the UN? I thought that was a rib. That was real? Who cares? Lots of people go to the UN every fucking day. Does it matter? No. Similar to people running for president. So what? Somebody went here and said something. So I'm standing here and saying things, and a lot of you are ignoring me. So stop giving those people any sort of weight, and you notice how they're not nearly as significant. I told you people, ignore them and they'll go away. And now they've gone away. You might be hearing about it because you're still following them. Turn them off. Stop following them on Twitter. Stop talking to the people that won't stop talking about them. Turn it off. It's that easy. It's that easy. Focus on the stuff you like. You like me? Watch me. Enjoy me. Donate to my Patreon. Or don't. The point is, go after the things you like. Fuck those people. They can't hurt you. I won't let them hurt you. I'm going to tell you that right now. Those two fucking cunts, they won't hurt you. I won't let them. I will not allow this. Okay? I want you guys to know that. It's okay. It's all right. Oh, let me see here. That's terrible. Boston Burf said he had to miss Overkill when they were on the Horoscope tour because he was sick. That's awful. That's terrible. Poor Boston Burf. Me and Boston Burf got a party sometime. Midnight Defender wants to donate a bottle of vodka to my Patreon. What do you want? What do you think? I want to clean up cuts? Send me clear liquor. You can send whiskey. If you send whiskey, yes, and I will enjoy it, and then I'll make a video about people's mothers. I don't know. Like I said, if you're gonna send me fire water, you need to be prepared for what may or may not happen, and what can go wrong will go wrong. Foamy fan says they would forgive Anita Sarkeesian if she would openly admit she created lies and slander for money and only money. Well, that's anyone who gets on TV. That's what they do on TV. When you get that's something that I always find funny is people are surprised when things are different on the other side of a camera. It's like anything that happens on camera is like, for instance, you see all this around you, all this stuff, like even me being on camera, I cleaned up. Before I came on here, I know it doesn't look like it, but I kind of cleaned up before I got on here. This is not what this room usually looks like. And the same thing with the people that get on camera and, try and cause trouble to make money. They're trying to give you an image that they think will help people throw money at them. That's really all that any of this is about. Apatano wants to party. All right, well, let's get a party going. I don't know how we get a party going. Midnight Defender's going to send me whiskey. All right. Pelagius wants to know what do I think of Euronymous era mayhem. I was talking about this with Mrs. Yell Chaos, and I'm glad you brought this up, Pelagius. I really do. I appreciate that. Me and you should hang sometime. I was thinking about this, about Varg Vikernes or Christian Andersen from Burzum. I realized that he is one of the luckiest motherfuckers that ever had to live, that ever lived in terms of heavy metal, because he has already been to jail and come back for murder. And I wonder if he even actually committed the murder of Oystein Aarseth being Euronymous from Mayhem. I question whether or not he actually was, or if he might be covering up for people. But what this has done is created a media blitz that you can't buy. He will be infamous for the rest of his life, and he has sold so much merchandise based on a murder that may or may not have been of his commission. And because he strikes me as a kind of a decent dude when I've seen him give interviews and stuff. And I think that it was public relations. I think he covered up for somebody. I don't know this, but this just a feeling, I guess, that he covered up for somebody else maybe. And he went to jail. He took the fall, and now his band is world famous. Maybe not like Metallica famous, but world famous. He sells fucking panties and shirts and CDs of music that is, let's face it, almost awful. It's horribly recorded. It's not much to listen to. There's a couple of records that, have their moments, but the stuff that's really popular, the really old stuff, is garbage, and it's sold. Why? Because of, well, I'm sure church burnings had something to do with it, but that if you realize what that really was a big public relations blitz before public relations blitzes were taken that far. I'm not saying these kids were, in cahoots together, but they were trying to make a name for themselves. That's what that was. So, and I think that Mayhem with Euronymous was kind of garbage. There's probably a handful of songs that were decent, but it's mostly just warmed over punk rock shit with inverted crucifixes and blooded nails. You're talking about Angry Orchard, Lone Wolf Warriors drinking the Angry Orchard. What do you want to have, a Zima too? You know, we used to get on Return to Mother Base for this very same thing. That's why he don't come on this program, because he told me one time that he liked a Michelob Ultra. And from me and Ed T 1138, he never heard the end of it. Never. I wasn't supposed to tell you that. Fuck. Oh well, we're getting towards the end of the program too, so I must be slipping or something. Midnight Defender talking about the black metal murders. I think the black metal murders, I think there's some sort of fucked up concept inside black metal now, ever since that happened, that has led people to believe that they need to come off as strong, just like people in biker gangs. And I think that they're willing, and that's because black metal to a lot of those guys is a religion. The Satanism is not the religion. The black metal, the concept, the thing that, you know, for a lot of them drives their income, that's their religion. And I think they take that seriously. And I think that's fucking disgusting when it's art at its worst and entertainment, you know, or actually art at its best and entertainment at its worst. So that's what I feel about that. I think that those black metal murders ever since then, that comes from just some sort of fucked up zeitgeist that lives within that community, that small amount of people, that amount of people that like to fuck boys and do that whole thing, which that's what they do. That's their own business. That's none of my affair. But I think that's just something that's fucked up in their zeitgeist. Just like the NS black metal stuff, the nationalist, socialist black metal stuff, there's some sick shit in there, and they believe some fucked up things. And yeah, I think that they make protest music, and I think they just represent assholes. But, you know, there's that. Retro M. Lim wants to know my thoughts on the new Ghostbusters film. I don't get it. I mean, I get it that you remake everything with broads, whatever. I didn't see it. I saw the pictures, and I don't care. I'm not a movie fan. I'm really not. The most recent movie I just saw was The Good Dinosaur, and I enjoyed that one actually. I like cartoons. I don't like to see movies very much. I'm very specific on the movies I like, and I don't keep up with the latest movies. But I just don't care. My thoughts on the Insane Clown Posse. They're pretty good businessmen. They know what they're doing. They cultivated a community, and they've been making money off of it for years. The same thing that Mike Kennedy wanted to do, but, you know, he got the cart before the horse. Pelagius knew I was talking about Gaul from Gorgoroth. Or maybe I shouldn't have said that. I was talking about Gaul from Gorgoroth. I want to give I want to give Pelagius some credit on it. Everybody give Pelagius, if there's a way you could give him a little applause. That was actually pretty good, because that was what I was talking about. But I have to admit, he did get that one shot in the Norwegian or was it the Metal at Headbangers Journey, where he swirls the wine in the glass when the Sam whatever says he says, "What is your music about?" And he swirls the wine and he goes, "Satan." And then he drinks the wine. I was like, that is some of the corniest shit I have ever seen, and I wish I had said that before him. It was just absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. Insane Clown Posse, Howard Stern. Oh yeah, I'm sure she's the reason they got kicked off the Ozfest, and fuck the Ozfest, and fuck the Osbournes. They're business people, and when business people get fucked over, I don't feel bad, because that's what business is about: fucking over the other party. Nick Canfield wants to know, am I voting and for who? Think I'm gonna sit around and waste my time like that? No. I wish I could believe in this political process, but as long as the Electoral College is in place, that system can be tweaked and twisted to someone else's desire at a moment's notice. And that's why I will never take our political process seriously, ever, until the Electoral College is abolished. I also want the Elimination Chamber abolished from World Wrestling Federation, and I don't think I'm going to get my way on that either. All right. Well, anyway, we're kind of getting towards the end of the program, so I'm gonna take a few more questions and we're gonna get out of here, and we'll do this again real soon, I promise. Don't forget, follow me on the Facebook, follow me on the Twitter. There's all that information down there in the description box. If it's still there, I don't know, because every time I get used to something, they fucking take it away around here. But check it out, and I hope you guys had a good time. So please do that. Facebook, Twitter, all that stuff down below. And questions, comments, concerns, bookings. You want me to play your birthday party? I don't know what I'll do, but I'll certainly try. The Yell Chaos Program at gmail.com. Oh, and I also found out that I can no longer condone the use of the WWF network, because I just found out that none of the wrestlers are paid royalties. Nobody is paid royalties on the WWF network. So all those people who worked really hard, they get nothing in return. Ain't that some shit? I'm not saying you have to discontinue use. I'm just saying I can no longer condone the use of that service. It's kind of fucked up when you think about it. But it doesn't bring in that much money, so you don't worry about it that much. Real quick, I think the WrestleMania card is a desperation move. Hogan winning his sex tape case, I didn't even know about that. Good for him. Whatever. Was it 115 million? Oh, whatever. Whatever. That's a heel program, babes. That's a heel taking on another heel, and the other heel, the U.S. court system, just awarding a different heel. There's no baby faces in that program. Do I think metal is dying out? No, metal is as strong as it ever was, and it's only getting stronger, but it is becoming very much a hobbyist market like comic books. It's becoming a collectibles market. If you don't believe me, there's something called the 70,000 tons of metal cruise. When you see things like that coming around, that means that there is a real market, if you will. Oh, we're gonna drink water. How about that? So yeah, and I know it's metal. Thanks to the internet, it's becoming stronger, but it's not really about music. The record industry is dead. Metal bands sell merchandise and memorabilia, and largely play off of some of nostalgia. That's why a lot of bands play cover bands of classic metal bands. But no, it's not dying. It's not dying. It's just, it's not hot right now. It'll get hot again. Don't worry. Just like wrestling. Wrestling eventually will get hot again. My thoughts on the card for WrestleMania. It's a desperation tactic. It's a bunch of, it's interesting because they're bringing up people from NXT. We'll see how it turns out, because the card is always subject to change. You know that. I know that. It always has been. I don't think any WrestleMania has ever been everything that was advertised. Damn. Now everybody's hating on Gawker. Well, anyway, and yeah, Shane McMahon, 50-year-old Shane McMahon coming back. I just hope no one gets seriously hurt. I really do. Anyway, fans, thank you very much. I got to get going. I hope you guys had a great time, and I hope to see you again real soon. Don't forget, don't be a stranger, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.